Okay, so we're going to spend today just going through a couple of the trace examples that are at the end of assignment 7. So let me get set up here. I'm going to have my browser on one side. And if I was doing this myself, like if I was taking an exam, or if this is my own program and I was trying to trace through what the program was doing because it wasn't doing what I was expecting it to, so I was trying to debug it, I would probably just draw boxes and arrows and things out here in this white space over here on the right. Over here. But because I can't draw there, I'm going to get a paint window going over here, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to do that. Okay, so here's a program. Got 3 functions here. And I'm just going to dive in and start pretending that I'm the computer and see what happens. Okay. So the first thing I see here is I've got 2 variable declarations, right? So I'm going to go ahead and allocate memory for those 2 variables. Shapes. Okay, and I'm going to call, is it tools? Yeah. No, that's not what. This one is A, right? And actually, I'm going to call it. Let me do that again. I'm going to call this mains A. And then over here, I have mains B. Okay, I don't really need to put mains A and mains B there. I can tell that by where I've drawn them. So when I'm doing this, I just make sure I draw the boxes next to the function where they're declared. But just to be double clear, those belong to me. And let me draw a line there. Okay, and these variables, normally when you declare a variable, these start off as junk, and I would put a question mark in there, right? In this case, however, they're being initialized. So A starts off at 8. And B starts off at 10. Okay so far? Okay. Now you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop for a second. I would like you to, on a piece of paper, if you don't have paper, I guess you might have to use your head or something, but a piece of paper would be perfect for this. There's still actually times when a paper and pencil come in handy. And I would like you to tell me what the output of this program is going to be up through this statement. So it's calling test 2. There's 2 cout statements in test 2, and then there's this 3rd cout statement. So you're going to have 3 lines of output when you're done. And I'll give you like 3 or 4 minutes to work on that. And maybe when you've got your answer, you could put your pencil down so I can tell that when most of you are done with that. And I'm going to go ahead and pause. Should I pause the recording? I'm going to pause the recording so that you don't have to sit and wait for 3 minutes if you're watching this recording. If I can remember how to do it. Actually, I guess this is fine. Okay. Volunteers to tell me what the 3 lines of output are right here. Okay. Okay, did everyone get that? No? Okay. Why doesn't someone else give me what they got? In the back. So did everyone get one of those two? Everyone got one of those two? Or was there someone who got yet a third answer? No one wants to admit to getting a third answer? You want it? You want to go ahead? Hold on a second. Let me get myself a space here. Okay. Well, just tell me all your whole answer. You got 3 lines of output, right? Say again. Okay. Someone's retracting their answer. Do you have something different? Okay. So is that it? No one else got anything different? Oh, we have a fourth answer. Okay. All right. So we have several different permutations of these answers. Basically, everyone got 11.6 for the middle one, and the question is whether it's 8.10 for the top or 10.8, and whether it's 11.6 or 8.10 for the bottom. Okay. So here's what I want to do. You may hate me for this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to have you hold on a sec. Okay, so let's just go through this process. I guess, am I not on again? Oh man. Can you guys hear me, Terry and Sita? Okay. I'm confused because, never mind. Okay, so here we go. The first thing that happens is test 2 is called. So I go down to test 2, and the first thing I do is I set up the parameters. Okay, before I start executing test 2, I set up the parameters. So my numbers are in the way. Let me see if I can squeeze it in here. There's 2 variables for test 2. And so this is going to be test 2's A. Oops. And this is going to be test 2's B. Okay, and so am I done setting up the parameters now? No, because the parameters get initial values, right? So I need to stick the initial values in first. So test 2's A came from where? Mains B, right? So in other words, which argument does A correspond to? It corresponds to test 2 to mains B, right? Because it's the first argument corresponds to the first parameter. So this value came from mains B, which was 10. Okay? This value came from mains A, which is 8. Okay? Now am I done setting up the parameters? I think I am, unless there's something I'm missing. I tricked you, right? Okay. All right, so the first cout statement here says cout A, B. A is 10, B is 8, right? So the first cout is gonna be 10, 8. Now I'm gonna just play for a second here. Sorry, guys. White. Oh, it didn't. I was hoping that the border would go away too. All right, I think I can just do that using a eraser probably. Oh wait, I can make it bigger. I think I deserve some sort of an award for trying to figure out how to do this. Okay. So here's my output. I'm going to put my output over here in the corner. And the first row of output was 10, 8, right? Indel. Okay. So now I'm going to execute this. So it just executed the cout statement. Now I'm going to execute the A gets 4. So where does the 4 go? Which A? Test 2's A, right? Not main's A. Test 2's A. So this becomes this becomes 4. Okay, and then I have, whoops, I have B gets 6. Where does that go? Test 2's B, right? So that was 6. Okay. Now I have A gets A plus B plus 1. Now remember, when you do an assignment statement, this is an easy one, but just to make sure that you keep it straight if it's more complicated, when you first start, you can ignore whatever's on the left side, right? You just got to figure out what's on the right side at first. So what is A plus B plus 1? 4 plus 6 plus 1, which is 11, right? Okay, so A gets 11. Where does the 11 go? Test 2's A. So that goes away, and it becomes 11. Now I execute the second cout statement here. Cout A, B, what's going to come out? 11, 6. Okay? So I'm done with that function. What happens when I finish the function? Well, how come there we go. All of these variables go away, right? Literally. So I want to just make that absolutely clear. And I'm going to figure out how to do it right this time. So fill is going to be, whoa. But last time it gave me an opportunity to pick the color. Oh, colors, thank you. Okay. And then outline, so no outline. What do you think? All right. Okay. So now I'm done with test 2. Okay? So now I'm going to go back up, and the next statement, I just finished calling test 2, so the next statement is this one, cout AB. And so what's going to come out? 8, 10. Okay, those are all supposed to line up. Sorry. Okay, any questions so far? All right. I want you now to go ahead and do the next 2 lines in main. Do those 2 lines in main. So that's going to give you 2 more lines of output. One from calling test 1 and one from the cout statement. Go ahead and do that. And then if you think you've got your answer and the person that you were working with also has an answer, go ahead and check it against each other, okay? Any questions about what you're supposed to do? Oh, bummer. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and see what, how many people are prepared, have an answer? Okay, at least there's somebody. So we're looking for the next two lines of output. Who wants to tell me the next two lines of output? Go ahead. $13.6 and then $6.13. Okay, did everyone get that? So anybody get something different that you want to put up here? Okay, so someone got 13.6, 13.6. Anything different that you want to get up here? Only two different responses this time? Go ahead. 13.6 and 8.10. Anything else? Go ahead. 13.6 and 10.8. All right. 10.8. Okay. So what this tells me is that we still have a lot of work to do on this, right? So let's go ahead and run through it. I'm about to call test 1. So let me go down. The first thing I need to do when I call a function is set up the parameters. So I've got two parameters, A and B. Oops. Oh, now I might have the wrong color now. Shape, outline, solid color. Color 1. Okay. There's one variable, there's another variable. And this one is test 1's A, and this one is, we're going to call this one test 2's, test 1's B. Okay. So what goes in A? What goes in here? A reference to, because the corresponding argument was mains B, and there's an ampersand there. So what goes in A is a reference to mains B. And this is the one where there wasn't an arrow. And I wanted an arrow, right? So I'm going to just use a line. Wait, mains B, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, mains B. And then I can maybe draw there. How's that for an arrow? Okay? So that's what goes in test 1's A at the beginning. What goes in test 1's B at the beginning? A reference to whatever the second argument was. The second argument was mains A. So what goes in test 1's B is a pointer, is a reference to mains A. Okay? Now we've got my parameters set up. Let me just digress for just a second and remind you that this is really, actually, what is going on inside the computer's memory, right? We're not just drawing diagrams here that are abstract ways of having us think about it. This is actually what's happening. There's an area allocated in memory, and what's getting put in the memory is the address of mains B or mains A, which we're representing by drawing an arrow, right? So this would be a very concrete thing we're doing here. Nothing abstract about this at all. I think. Unless I'm wrong. Okay, so let's start executing the statements inside test 1 since we have the parameter set up. When I say A gets 4, where does the 4 go? I go to put it in test 1's A, but I see that's not a regular variable, that's a reference variable. And so instead of putting it here, I follow the arrow and I put it here. So it goes in mains B, right? That makes sense to everyone? So the 4 goes here in mains B. Okay? Now, let me just point something else out, okay? When we're working through a problem like this, sometimes students find it hard because they have this feeling like there's a whole lot of detailed stuff going on and it's hard to keep track of everything. And what I want to say about that is you don't have to keep track of anything. Everything we need to know is already written up there in the picture. So I can stop and I can talk to you about something else for 5 minutes and then we can go back and continue on where we left off without remembering anything about what was going on. The only thing we have to remember is what the next statement is that's going to get executed. That's all we have to remember. Okay? And that's exactly how the computer works, right? The computer doesn't keep track of anything except for what's in its memory locations and what the next statement is that's going to get executed. All right, so now we're about to execute the B gets 6. Where's the 6 going to go? Mains A, right? We go to put it in B. We see B is not a regular variable, it's a reference variable, so instead of putting it right in B, we follow the arrow and put it there. So that was a 6. Okay, now we get to this line, A gets A plus B plus 3. So what's A plus B plus 3? 13. So A gets 13. Where does the 13 go? Mains B, right? I go to put it in test 1's A, but I can't put it there. I have to follow the arrow and put it wherever the arrow is pointing, which is mains B. Everyone okay with that? Okay, now we get to our first cout statement. This is cout AB. What's going to come out? What's A right now? 13, right? That makes sense to everyone? Why A is 13? Because we look at A, there's nothing actually in there. We can't print out what's in there. We have, because it's a reference variable, we have to follow the arrow. Okay, so the 13 comes out. Let's see if I can get to this to line up any better. 13 comes out first. And then B whoops, we're printing out the B. What's the value of B right now? Test 1's B is 6. Any questions? Okay, so now we're done with test 1. So these variables down here all go away. Fill solid color white and outline, no outline. Okay, we should probably also get rid of the arrows. Yikes. Alright, good enough. Okay, so we just finished with test 1. Now we're going back up here and we're going to execute the cout AB up here. And what's going to come out? 613, right? Okay? Any questions so far? All right, so I think everyone's pretty much got it now, and the next one will be easy, right? Finishing up the program. All right, I want you guys to go ahead and finish up the rest of the output in the program. It's going to be 2 more lines of output, right? And let me tell you that at least half of you are going to get it wrong, so be careful. I know that's a mean thing to say, but just trying to be encouraging. I can't wait to take a look at this recording and see how disjointed it looks. Okay, let's go ahead and see what people thought the last 2 lines of output were going to be. Who wants to take a shot at it? Go ahead. Everybody get that? That's a yes or no question. Someone get something different over here? Oh, another different number in the mix. Yeah. 13, 6, 6, 6. Okay. Is that another 22, 13, 22, 13? Okay. And in the back. So 15, 15, 15, 10. Okay, so why do you suppose I ask you to tell me what you think your answers are and put them up here? Otherwise, no one would have been. Well, I guess I guess the reason I do it is to just so you know that everyone else is having a hard time too. But also just to make sure everyone realizes that this is a hard thing to get right. But I think that I don't think it's hard like there's some people that just aren't going to be able to get it. I think it's hard like you just have to work hard at it and then you'll get it. That's what I think anyway. So let's go ahead and trace through this. So the next thing we have to do is call test 1. So the first thing I do is set up the parameters. Oops, that's the wrong parameters. Those parameters. So I've got 2 parameters, A, week, A and B. I'm going to get in the hang of this paint thing, huh? So this is going to be test 1's A and test 1's B. Okay. What's going to go in test 1's A? A reference to what? Mains A. All right, I think you get the idea. And what's going to go in test 1's B? A reference to mains A. Okay? So now we've got the parameters set up, and I think that's really the most important part, and sometimes the hardest part. It'd be interesting to talk about what's hard about it. I'm guessing this is the hardest part to get right. And once you get this in, the rest of it is just following through the steps, I think. But anyway, So we start executing the statements inside test 1 because we have the parameter set up. So A gets 4. Where does the 4 go? The 4 goes in mains A. Okay. Now I say B gets 6. Where does the 6 go? Mains A. Okay. Now A gets A plus B plus 3. What's A right now? 6. What's B right now? 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 3 is 15. So A gets 15. Where does the 15 go? Mains A, right? Should I do that again? Okay, so I'm executing this statement right here. I think everyone was totally clear up to this point, right? No problem about why those arrows are there. No problem about why that's a 6 there, right? Okay, so now we are at this statement right here. And now remember, when C++ wants to know the value of B, the value of A, what does it do? Does it go back up in the lines of code above it and see what it set A equal to? No. Looks in the memory location for A, right? The computer doesn't remember the so a lot of students get this wrong because they look up in the function, higher in the function, and they see the statement, oh, there was an A gets 4 up there, so A must be 4. But the computer, once the computer executes a statement, it's gone, right? The computer doesn't remember what the statements were that it just executed. All the computer does is look in the memory location. What's in the memory location for test 1's A? 6, right? What's in the memory location for test 1's B? 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 3 is 15. Hold on a sec, Terry. So where does the 15 go? It goes in test 1's A, but test 1's A is a reference to mains A, so it goes in mains A. So 15. Okay. So Terry, if you have a question, go ahead and type it. Well, what did I just do? All right, so let's keep going. Now we're at a cout statement. It says cout A, B. What's A? 15. What's B? 15. So the next line of output over here is going to be 15, 15, right? 15, 15. Now we're done with test 1. So these go away. Okay, and then we go back up to main, and we're at this cout statement right here, cout A, B. What's A right now? 15. What's B? That looks like a 13 to me. Well, but I'm just continuing on, right? Yeah. So you went back and started. Right. Right. So in other words, that didn't change. So okay. Right. So that would, if you thought this started off at 10, that would give you this output over here. But it's 13. So the correct answer is 15, 13. Okay? So what's the hard part about that? Pass by reference, but what about the pass by reference is hard? Okay, so when you set up the parameters, and it's a pass by reference, you have to make sure to point it to the right variable. It's easy to get careless and just say, well, that's called B and that one's called B, so it must point back to this one with the same name. But the name actually has nothing to do with it, right? Okay. I think, my opinion is that once you understand this, it's not that hard. You just have to be careful and follow through the steps. It might be a little bit tedious, but I don't think it's conceptually hard. Okay. It seems like there was something else I was going to say and I lost it. We still have a few minutes left, so I want to just talk about one more thing that we haven't talked at all about in class, and I think she talks about it briefly in the text. I think it is talked about briefly in the text, but I can't remember for sure. But anyway, and that is global variables. Has that come up in the text? No, you haven't gotten that far yet? Okay. Right. In my syllabus it says not to use them. In big bold letters, right? So yeah, it's in general it's bad practice to use them, although you know, once you get out in the real world, people will argue about it, and people will say, well, maybe there are some situations where it's okay, or where it's a good thing. But certainly at this point in your programming careers, you should just avoid it until you're really convinced that it's the right thing to do. Anyway, so let me go back to the trace examples, and I think there's one, at least one, maybe a couple that involve global variables. So you should make sure you get to those. Let's just look at 2 for a second. No, there's no global variables in trace 2. Trace 3, there's a global variable. See, the global variable is this guy that's out here, not inside any function. And what that means is that I can access that variable from any of my anywhere in my program. That's technically not quite true, but I'm going to go with it for now. There's a global variable here in trace 4. Global variables in trace 5. I think trace 5 is the long one. Global variables in trace 6. So 3 through 6 all have global variables, so there should be plenty of opportunity for you to practice this. And like I said before, what you're going to do is try to figure out the correct output and then copy and paste it into your compiler and see if you are right. So I think I might go ahead and do this one because it looks like one of the simpler ones. So let's empty out the whiteboard. There must be some way to should I just say new? New. Don't save. Yay. Okay. All right. So we're going to have a separate area now in our little diagram for global variables. So I'm going to, and there's 4 global variables, right? A, B, C, and D. So I'm going to draw 4. Let's see. Outline, solid color. The color is black. So 1, 2, 3, 4 global variables, and they are global A, global B, global C, and global D. Okay? Let me draw a line here now. All right, so there's our global variables. Now we can start executing the statements inside main. I get down to main and I see that, look at that, there are 4 variables declared in main, A, B, C, and D. So, same thing again, A, B, C, D. This time it's mains A, mains B, mains C, mains D, right? And then I'll draw another line to separate it out from any variables we may have in function P. Okay, so let's see, I'm still executing this first statement inside main, and I have 4 variables declared, and they get initial values of 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to put those initial values in. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So now I'm done executing this statement. So now I'm going to call function P. So the first thing I do when I call function P is I set up the parameters and the local variables. So how many of those are there? There's 2 parameters and a local variable, so there's actually 3 things to set up now, right? So 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be P's A. This is going to be P's B. And this is going to be P's C. Okay, so I have allocated space for my 3 local variables. Parameters are just special local variables, right? They're special because they get initial values. So what's going to start? What is going to go in P's A? A reference to this A here, which is mains A, right? Okay, I think you can tell what's going on there without drawing the little arrow at the tip, right? Okay, and then what goes in B? In P's B? That gets its value from mains B. And what's mains B equal to right now? 2. And what does C start off at? Garbage. Okay? So now I have finished setting up the parameters and local variables. So now I'm going to see out A, B, C, D. That's my first cout statement. So I'm going to do my output down here at the very bottom and tell me what's going to come out when I output A, B, C, D. A is 1, B is 2, C is garbage. Everyone okay so far? A is 1 because I followed the arrow and it was a 1 up here. I could make this more interesting by switching the variables around a little bit, right? I made it too easy. B is 2 because it's 2 right here. C is question mark, and what's D? So here's the rule. When I refer to a variable in a function, I first look for a local variable with that name. That's why I put question mark here instead of putting 3 here, right? If there is no local variable with that name, then I look for a global variable with that name. Is there a global variable with the name D? Yeah. And what's in that global variable? garbage. I forgot to put the question marks in there, but there should be question marks in those 4 boxes, right? Because they didn't get initialized to anything. So another question mark. Okay? All right, so now I finished the cout statement, so now I'm going to execute this line down here. A gets 5. Where does the 5 go? Mains A. Okay, this is the part where it gets interesting, I think. B gets 6. Where does the 6 go? This B down here, right? So that's going to become a 6. And then C gets 7. Where does the 7 go? In P's C. Then D gets 8. Where's the 8 going to go? The global variable D, right? Because there is no, I first look for a local variable named D. There isn't one. So I look for the global variable named D. And it gets 8. Any questions about any of that? So the rule for, there's just one rule for global variables that you need to know. And that is, first you look for a local variable with that name. If there isn't one, then you use the global variable with that name. So, if there's a global variable named elephant, and there's a local variable named elephant, can that function access the global variable named elephant? No, because if you just put elephant, it's going to refer to the local variable named elephant. So the global one is hidden. Yes? This elephant? That's a different thing. Yeah. Okay. Now there may be a way to get to that global variable elephant, but I'm not going to tell you about it. So for now, we'll just say you can't get to it because there's a local variable named elephant that's hiding it. Okay? All right, so we're done with function P. So I'm going to erase outline, no outline, fill, solid color, color white. Okay, so now I'm done with function P, and I go back up here and I'm going to execute the cout statement here. So cout A, what's A? 5, because I'm in main, right? So I'm going to be looking at main's variables. A is 5. What's B? 2. What's C? 3. What's D? Is that right? Everyone agree with that? Okay, I think that's right. Any questions about that? All right, I'm just going to say it one more time, okay? Sometime between now and the midterm, you absolutely must spend some time going through all of those 6 trace problems from lesson 7.2. And let me know if you need help on them, okay? See you next time. So the boxes thing would have helped before the exam. Huh. Okay. Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
definitely think it would have helped me. Right?
Think of what?
Would have helped me if I kind of sat down
Right.
on
Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
I can spell the last day, is it?
If you put colon in front of a variable name, that means use the global scope variable. Okay. I'll bring one more cloud and I'll figure it out. Really? Okay, I'll actually look into that.
I just wonder if you're not getting them in your email.
Yeah, we should check. Make sure.